so what are we doing now? Well, we're applying some ballast. Now I started making a set of arrows which are going to be ridiculously light. Now if you remember from the other video I showed you some 18 grain points, well there they are on there. But when I've done the balance, they're a little bit too neutral. They're not quite, it's like 14 inches to 15 inches. And I would have quite liked to shift the balance forward a little bit. So what I've done is I've actually, well, I don't know whether you're here, let's see. You see in the end of there, there's a piece of copper. It's not actually a piece of copper. It's copper coated steel BDs. Now these are ideal for this because the only like the 4.5 millimeters diameter or 0.177 of an inch, but they weigh 5 grains each, almost. Well, the 5.5 something grains, so 5 grains each. Now I want to shift the balance forward about 2 inches, so I'm thinking 4 of those would add 20 grains. And the reason why the balance is going to be off is because I'm putting slightly longer fletchings on them. So I want to so that would bring the balance into a negative. I want it to be a positive by about 1.5 to 2 inches, because all told they're only going to weigh about 340 grains complete. That's about 12 grains per inch. So quite light, but they're going to be quick as well. So what I'm doing is I've just put the last one in there, and then the point will just slip over and then be glued in place, like so. So what I'm doing now, what I thought I'd do, I've got something which is a little bit, well it's another piece of down, but I'm going to show you and try and do a close-up of how you actually do this. Now, word of warning, this is quite finicky, quite fiddly. If you only do this if you want to get really, really geeky, or if you're making a light set of arrows, like I am, where you need to pull the weight forward of it without adding too much weight. And if you can't do that just by swapping the points around, like going from an 80 to 100 grain or to 125 grain, whatever, you could use this technique. For instance, I'm going from an 18 grain point. I need it to be about a 28 grain point, but can I find 28 grain points or even 30 grain points anywhere? So I'm doing it this way. Now, so we have a drill. Now you need quite a good drill that doesn't have much of a run out. This is my little Bosch drill. I love this thing. So what we're going to do, we're just going to central. We're going to central. Now I'll try and zoom in on this bit, give you a better view. Because what I should be doing is using a thinner bit to sort of drill a guide, and then we'll widen it with, helps if we put the right end of the drill bit in. Right, so I'll try and do that and zoom in and let you see exactly what we're doing. So we're not going too quick. And you can rotate the shaft as you go. Now, normally when I do this, I've actually got a jig that I made years ago. but of course that's got lost in the move. So I'm just having to do it like this. So like I said, just take your time, rotate the shaft as you go, low speed, need a fairly sharp drill bit, but don't drill your fingers. Now, if you're putting with those BBs you need, what you'll get 5 per inch. There's no need to rush. For one thing, you don't want to do the whole thing with your fingers. And then, when you've gone deep enough, just wobble it about a bit, just to make sure. And then, it's a case of trial and error, until you can get them to, unless of course you do what I don't do, and use a 4.5mm drill bit. Right, there we go. Straight in. Get the idea? Right, so hopefully I'll have been able to do and show you that. And that's it. Like I said though, it's one of those things that you only really need to be thinking about doing it if you can't alter the weight and the balance by adjusting or changing the weight of the arrowhead. That's the easiest way to do it. But if you need to, you can do it like that. And you can do it in the tail end as well. Say for instance, like if I wanted a completely neutral, balanced arrow shaft, and I've got 20 grains up front, and then I know how much my fletchings are going to weigh, I can adjust accordingly and add a little bit of weight. Or if you've got, like say, a 40 or 50 grain point up front, your fletchings weigh 20, you want a neutral balance, so you can add 20 grains to the rear, just by drilling into the wood and adding your BBs or your air rifle pellets to balance the shaft out. Right, so we're not going to do any more work like that. Like I said though, ballasting like that is a little bit of a last ditch thing, or a geeky thing, like me. Generally speaking though, only if you're making really lightweight arrows would you find it necessary to do that. But at least now you know how, if you should need to, or if you've got the desire. Anyway, hope you found it interesting. Stay safe, keep slinging the sticks, and we'll talk again soon. Cheers guys.